Silent Hill. Who could ever forget Silent Hill? Those opening words, fear of blood tends to create fear for the flesh. The haunting imagery of its introduction alone are forever burned into my subconscious. The first time I ever experienced Silent Hill, I was only 8. Prior to this, my only experience in the world of gaming horror was Resident Evil 3. And while that game was still terrifying for a kid my age, at its core, it was just an interactive B zombie movie. Little old me was not prepared for the psychological torment I was about to endure. To go from years of jumping on Goombas and Mario to, well, this? It left a lasting impression on me. It screwed me up. I wasn't even able to play this game in the privacy of my own room. I had to drag my TV into the living room just to be around people. In the coming years, Team Silent, the development team behind the franchise, would continue to push the limits of horror and trauma in gaming. Silent Hill 2 dealt with themes that even the best therapist in the world would have a hard time dealing with. And Silent Hill 3, my personal favorite in the series, introduced us to what I believe is one of the best protagonists in the entire franchise, Heather Mason. Silent Hill 4, The Room, which at the time of its release was not praised nearly as much as the first 3 games, was, and still is, a very underrated and underappreciated sequel. In 2005, the year after Silent Hill 4 was released, Konami decided to close the doors on Team Silent. It was at this point in the franchise's history where it started to seriously lose its way. While Team Silent was dead, Silent Hill wasn't, and Konami would begin outsourcing the series to American developers who, quite frankly, they just didn't get it. There's a certain something about horror that only the Japanese are able to capture. There was a slight glimmer of hope when Silent Hill Origins was released in 2007 for the PSP, however. It didn't quite capture what made Silent Hill special, but it was a valiant effort nonetheless. But Origins was just a brief ray of light. Like the very town of Silent Hill itself, darkness was approaching to consume the franchise. When Silent Hill Homecoming was released, the first console entry to not be made by Team Silent, it felt more like Saw with monsters than a true Silent Hill. I mean, the fact that Pyramid Head was in it when he really shouldn't have been, considering what he was supposed to represent, the fact that the game seemed to borrow so heavily from the Silent Hill movie, and the QuickTime events, it didn't feel like Silent Hill anymore. Shattered Memories was just a reimagining of the first game, but without combat, without the atmosphere, and without the imaginative monster designs. It had some good ideas, but felt like it was trying too hard to be something other than what it was, a Silent Hill game. The only thing that had remained consistently good throughout these long, dark times was Akira Yamaoka's incredible music. By 2012, they were giving us Downpour, an open-world horror game that didn't really even seem to have any elements of the original series in it anymore. And if you needed any more evidence that the franchise had lost its way, look no further than Book of Memories. This Vita exclusive was nothing more than a Silent Hill skinned Diablo clone. What the hell? Oh, and Akira Yamaoka wasn't even composing the music anymore. Oh, and did I mention Silent Hill Revelation 3D also came out this year? Silent Hill literally got bent over a barrel. 2012 was officially the year that Silent Hill was murdered. It was so painful to watch a series I grew up with and loved become a depressing shadow of its former self. The terrifying worlds, the foreboding and dark atmosphere, the twisted imagery, and the morbid themes were long gone in favor of American horror sensibilities and cliches. I'd given up hope on Silent Hill at this point, and for 2 years it felt like Konami had too, until a certain game made its debut. During Gamescom 2014, Sony dropped a trailer for a new horror title by a studio named 7780 that no one had even heard of. Not only did they drop a trailer, but they also announced that it was available that day. Oh, and it was free. Fucking mic drop. PT, as it was known as, was a first-person game that at its core was pretty simple. You walked from one end of a hallway to the other, opened the door, and entered the same hallway you were just in. But with every loop, the game would slowly and progressively add more and more horror elements. From banging noises, to this horrifying bitch standing in the hallway, to the Eraserhead baby in the sink, it just kept ramping up. Things became cryptic, became difficult and frustrating, sometimes it seemed like the game was just unbeatable. That was until a YouTuber by the name of Soapy Warpig managed to beat the game before anyone else and revealed to the world what PT truly was. And I think her reaction perfectly captures how everybody else felt.
I think we're at the end. Oh, fucking brilliant. Oh god, I feel so good. I feel good. I feel pumped. Oh my god! Oh my god! Hideo Kojima! What? Oh my gosh! The secret's being revealed! Oh my gosh! This is brilliant! Oh my god! This is fucking crazy! What? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my fucking god! Oh my god! Oh my god! It is! It's Silent Hill!
Silent Hill was back, baby, and it had a dream team behind it. Hideo Kojima, one of the best game creators of all time. Guillermo del Toro, one of my favorite directors, and a man who can world build like few others. And Norman Reedus as our main character. I mean, come on. While it was never confirmed, I can almost guarantee Akira Yamaoka probably would have been brought back to score it, and to top it all off, Junji Ito, one of the best horror manga artists of all time, was even approached by Kojima and Del Toro in the early stages of development. And then later that same year at the Tokyo Game Show, Konami dropped another teaser for the game showing off some truly horrifying imagery and further cemented my unbelievable hype for Silent Hills. All of the perfect ingredients were being tossed into the pot. A perfect storm was brewing. Game of the Year was steadily approaching. Please, I can only be so erect. And then it happened. In 2015, Konami was appointed a new CEO, Hideki Hayakawa, whose first order of business was to proclaim that mobile games are the future of gaming, and completely upend the internal structure of the company. As a man known for creating some of the greatest AAA console games of all time, Kojima was clearly not happy about this. Relationships were broken, Konami removed all references to Kojima's name off of marketing and the box art for Metal Gear Solid 5, and ultimately, Kojima would end up leaving the company for good. What followed was just proof to me that we are living in the darkest timeline. Either that, or I must have been really mean to babies in a previous life, because Silent Hills, not only mine, but many others' dream game, was gone. But since Konami really wanted to make sure the fans really felt it, really wanted to make sure they got that salt as deep into the wound as they possibly could, they removed all traces of PT from the PlayStation Store. Even if you had downloaded it in the past, but deleted it, you couldn't download it again. It was gone. Thankfully, I didn't get rid of it, so it still sits in my PlayStation library. A constant reminder of a better time. So, now that 5 years have gone by, and the pain of that fateful time has been allowed to fade, what has become of the Silent Hill franchise since then? Well, the same year Konami announced that Silent Hills had been cancelled, they released a fucking pachinko game. So that's cool. Konami claims that the Silent Hill franchise is still alive, but considering what they did with Metal Gear Survive, I'd rather the series just stay dead. Personally, I've given up on the franchise. To me, Silent Hill died with PT, and nothing is ever going to bring it back. At this point, I'd rather Konami just let this beloved IP die a hero's death, and go out with the dignity that it deserves. So on that note, last year Konami filed an application with the US Patent and Trademark Office for Silent Hill on an intent-to-use basis. And what was that intent, you may ask? Electronic gaming machines, namely devices which accept a wager. Happy trails, folks!